Welcome back to Carinine Hours. We're sharing in the conversation with Sir Arthur. We're talking about emancipation and the whole business of Majority Rule Day, what the significance of that event in '67 and the implications of that for our time and for future time, because it represented a break with the past and the beginning of a new day. And part of the new day was certainly opening up the society so that there would be opportunity for all, and that's generally the objective. I mean, and at the heart of that opening up of opportunity for all is the question of education, because up to that point, the educational opportunities were severely limited.
Exactly.
For example, there was only one government high school. You had some private church schools, but that there was only, and
that came late too.
Very late,
historically speaking. Yeah.
So the Majority Rule Day issued in a period in which tremendous strides were made in education, which gave expression to what you might call the theory of opening it up, was given practical explication in the training of teachers and the building of schools, etc., because the importance of education was of great significance. I've mentioned several times in preaching and speaking about education that I was impressed when India became independent from Great Britain, and the discussion about what gifts they would be given. And they made it clear that they wanted their focus on education. So they built, every state in India has at least one university. And they decided at independence, and that was going to be their goal. And I lament the fact that here, although we made that great push immediately after majority rule, we haven't been able to sustain it in the sense of making that impact on our public education. And I don't know if you have any thoughts about.
Yes. Well, first of all, as you said, we have made tremendous strides, and you mentioned what existed before, and perhaps I maybe enlarge on that just a bit.
Yes.
That in my day, when I went to school at Western Senior, only a handful of us could even dream about going to university. Because, as you mentioned, the government high school, and let us give credit again to the people who fought for that. Sir Etienne Depuch, R.M. Bailey, Mr. Adderley, A.F. Adderley, and others who fought bitterly to get that institution. But that could only take a handful of people every year. And this, for most of the rest, they left school at the age of 14. So we did make tremendous progress, but still, Bishop, I agree with you. If we're going to have, in every aspect, if we're going to improve our country, education is absolutely essential for everything, even for citizenship. Because if your people are not properly educated, they're not in a position to make wise choices and to understand issues and all the rest of that. Entrepreneurialism in business and even in enjoying life. An educated person who can enjoy culture, who could enjoy the arts, who can understand poetry and all the rest of it, is less likely to be a criminal. But and what alarms me most about what is happening now is that the problem that we face with education seems to be affecting our young men more than anything else. And I think that bodes ill for the future if we don't do something about it. Because I think somebody told me that the enrollment at the College of the Bahamas is only about 20% male.
I think it is.
Yeah, 20%, 75%,
and
female,
25%,
20%.
Very much in the ascendancy.
Exactly. That's a very unhealthy situation.
But it's also happening in the region, because I was looking at UWI, the numbers are almost the same. And when you drive around, if you go over the hill, you see the young men on the wall or under the tree, and some of them, if you speak with them, will tell you what they feel are left out. They don't see that they're leaving themselves out in many instances those who have had the opportunity
Yes,
and
yes.
refuse to embrace it.
Yes.
But as a country and as a society, we have to try to get through to the mayors, because you go to the prison in Foulkes, I mean, so many
Exactly.
youngsters,
I
young
know.
men,
I know.
so that something has happened that we have not been able
Mhm.
to.
And we do not know what we are losing. As being on the hill, Joan and I travel all over the Bahamas. We went to talk to young people at Government House and all the rest of that. And Your Grace, let me tell you, we have some very talented young people coming up, bright young people. But if we don't nurture them and sustain them and keep them focused on getting an education, we have no idea what we're losing, but we know what we're getting. We get criminality and a general dumbing down of our society.
Mm-hmm. But it's also, for me, a tragedy that here are these opportunities being provided, and the opportunities are not appreciated by some, and secondly, they're not being embraced, and therefore you are creating a social issue that is almost like a cancer now, because it is spreading so rapidly, and it has such serious negative import.
And it will reproduce itself throughout the society. I asked some teachers sometimes, there was one school, I went to a graduation ceremony, and this is one of those, what we call failing schools. But still, the school turned out straight A students. And I was told that the other schools were just waiting to get them so they could recruit them to go to their school. And I asked the teachers, how is that? How come this school, which is supposed to be a failing school, can still turn? And they told me, they said, parenting. That was their parenting. They said, most likely those who do well have support at home.
And it's crucial.
And that, exactly.
But
that, I'm sure that's not all the problem.
But it is an important, because we had the awful situation where the parents won't even come in to collect the cards.
I understand. Lack of interest.
And if you don't have that parental support, you're not going to make it. But that's related to the educational thrust. It's the whole question of entrepreneurship that we talked about earlier, that you have to be educated if you're going to make any progress in that area.
And more so in today's world.
Because you will require also to be able to be comfortable with the new technology. And you must be able to read plans. And so that that's why we need to find extra ways in which we can get across the importance of education. And I think in this regard, the media can be more of greater support, because we should find some way of, I think every night trying to get this message across, because it's not just for the benefit of the individuals concerned, but for the benefit of the country. Because if we're going to build a better country, we must improve the level of education.
Absolutely.
And it will certainly be a follow-through from what was envisaged at majority rule. What was envisaged that we would.
Well, education was one of the key, because we used to say that.
Yes.
Education is the key to everything,
to
the
the
future,
future.
everything, yes.
And I remember my father and people in his generation who really knew the importance of education, and they were prepared to sacrifice to see to it that their children got the education. So that they considered that was their contribution to equip the children for. And if we can get that spirit back from the home, not just in the home, we can get that spirit that we would be able to.
I used to talk to the young men sometimes, and I used to give them reasons why they should have an education. And I repeated, for business sake, for advancement, for a better quality of life, for social reasons. And I told them, I said, there was one group up there, and there were the boys and girls from the senior school. And I said, you see these young ladies? They are getting an education. When you become a man and you're looking for a wife, you won't be able to talk with them. Because they're not, you won't be at their level. I don't know, I hope that got their attention.
But it certainly gave them some reason to think.
To think about, yeah.
But education, I think, certainly has to receive a better attention than it is presently getting. And this whole sense of participating in the building of a nation. Now, I know at the beginning that was very much in the forefront, but I'm wondering whether, I don't hear very much about that today. I mean, I'm not sure whether that has receded into the background.
Yeah, some of us feel like we got it made, we're there. We don't have it made yet.
Far from it.
We don't have it made yet. But mind you, there's some people who are doing some wonderful work, I'm sure you know quite well, in this country. Some people who have been successful and are reaching up to help others. A good friend of mine put it this way, he says, he was quoted in a newspaper recently, he says, it's like this, if I can remember. Money is like, I forget how he put it, so you have to spread it around so you can cause other people to grow. Like seeds. The same thing with education. You have to spread it around. You'd be surprised to know what the results will be. But yes, we got to become aware again of the need to be nation builders, and that's what we're about, building a nation, and that is never finished.
No,
that is an ongoing.
That's an ongoing, a never-ending pursuit. But I say I don't get the sense today that is being pushed as hard as it should be, because I think people have to be encouraged to believe that they are participants in this venture. And unfortunately, many of our younger people right now, too many of them, believe that they're excluded. They really do not believe that they are part of the system. And I think it's not only through the Ministry of Social Services that we really have to find ways and means of spreading the net so that we can bring more people into and have more participants and building this nation.
I think programs, like some of the churches have programs for mentoring. And again, especially for boys, some of whom have never had a male presence in their lives. And it's very important for them, for men, to have a contact with them and to help them and to inspire them.
Yes, that's an emphasis that we're trying to make in the church now, but I am still disappointed in the fact that it doesn't seem to be growing to the extent that I would like to see it, because it is so urgent that that message gets across. And we try and save some of these young people from destruction, because those who are very close to the margin and if left unassisted will go over.
Well, we see them every day.
And you can't build a country that way. And it really tells us about the job that's still to be accomplished. It hasn't been accomplished. Remember Paul in Philippians saying that he hasn't attained it all yet, but what he does now, he will press on. And I think we have somehow, as a community, because unfortunately we tend to say we leave it to the politicians, but it is the community that has to do the building and to encourage and to have the encouraging environment in which not only a dialogue could take place, but a real assistance can be given to people who need it so badly.
And it's to the benefit of everybody, because if you have that around you, I mean, if just a small group of people succeed and they become educated, the society will still be judged by the masses of the people. And our standards will fall. We see that today in standards of behavior in public places.
All over the place.
But you know, you mentioned something earlier when you said that I don't know if this was on camera or what, that a similar sort of thing is happening in other parts where the boys are dropping out. And I've been wondering whether Western society as a whole is going through a bad patch at the moment. And you know, we're very much influenced by what we see in America.
Especially North America.
Yeah. And we see these things in Britain as well.
Oh yes, they are sort of pulling their hair out in Great Britain in terms of how they're going to change the downward trends in the society. all of the old anchors seem to be removed, and
not regarded as important.
I'm afraid we must take our last break now before we come to our final segment.